Hey everyone, Justine here, the Twilight Stamper, bringing you another card for the 3 Cards 1 Stamp series. This is the stamp we're using for February 2015 called Paper Hug from Simon Says Stamp. This is the card that we'll be making today. And I really like this card because you can take any colors and make it masculine, feminine, colorful, rainbow, it doesn't really matter. So there's a look at the stamp set for you. I'm going to take some watercolor paper and I'm going to take this heart sort of border stamp. Now this ended up being a little more challenging than I thought it would be. I applied VersaMark on it and I stamped it, and I wanted to create a whole heart sort of bottom where they would go up from the bottom to the top and get smaller. But it's really hard to see VersaMark on white paper, and so when I went to ink it up again and stamp again, I realized I actually had to emboss it first in order for this technique to actually work for me, because I wasn't able to see it, even the shine on this watercolor paper, because it is textured, so I did have that issue. So I grabbed some white embossing powder. This is my Ranger Ultrafine embossing powder. I sprinkled that on top and then used my heat gun to heat set it. So I just took my heat gun and made sure that all melted. It goes to a shiny color, and you can see it a little bit better when it's actually heat set. Enough that I was able to continue along the border and stamp along. I kind of had to hold it up to the light and hold it on a funny angle at times for it to work, but overall it worked out well, and I didn't have any overlapping issues. And if you do have overlapping issues, it's also not a big deal. So I just went along the whole bottom up until the last little bit here, and heat embossed all of that so that it creates a resist. I grabbed the Will You Be My Valentine title and I stamped that and heat embossed it as well using the white ultrafine embossing powder. I like ultrafine because I find with normal embossing powder it's not that great for sentiments, and I just prefer that really detailed look. Now that I'm finished with the heat embossing, I actually taped it down using washi tape. I tried to put this a border around it with the tape that was relatively even. So on my craft mat, I laid down a few colors: Dusty Concord, Fired Brick, Picked Raspberry, Festive Berry, and Tattered Rose. I wanted to create sort of a gradient effect from the darkest color to the lightest color, and you can do this if you own a couple of shades of red or a couple of shades of pink, but overall you can also do this as a rainbow. All the colors really match quite well together and they work well together. Using a clean paintbrush and some clean water, I decided to start with the purple and work my way up. Just added water to my canvas here, or my card front, and I wanted to make sure that it was quite saturated with water. You want to make sure that the distress inks really spread when they hit the paper. And now I'm just going in, and I'm not doing anything special, but kind of going in a striped line. And then when I go in with the second color, I try to pull both colors together by kind of putting a little bit of water in the middle and really blending them. And you can see how that embossing powder is reacting and resisting the paint that we're putting on, or the ink that we're putting on. So what I usually like to do is I like to put my first layer down and then kind of pat it down with a paper towel to see how light it's going to be and go from there. So I decided that was way too light for my liking, and I went back in with the exact same colors and the exact same technique over and over again. I did it actually 3 layers in total, and then I let that dry. So instead of being patient and letting it dry, I used my heat gun to pretty much dry the paper. There are going to be splotches of ink on there that you'll need to pick up with a paper towel, but not a big deal. I'm just grabbing my mini mister, I'm spraying some water in my hand, and I'm kind of flicking my fingers. Now that's going to create droplets on my card front, and you're not going to really see it or see the resist effect. You can see it right now starting until I finish the card, and you actually see it after sitting quite a long time on the paper. And the longer you let it sit, the more effective it's going to be. It just depends on the look that you're going for. So just cleaned up my work surface here with a paper towel. You can also take a tag, and rub that through the ink so not to waste anything. I just put my work surface sort of on an angle here on the table, and I decided to spritz a little bit more of the water on it and let it kind of drip down, and I got some really cool water spots that I like. As you can see, the washi tape didn't hold super well, and that's not that big of a deal. What I ended up doing was just trimming it down, but if you don't trim it down, you can actually use that and it looked quite nice. So because I had to trim it down, I put on a ton of foam tape, and I decided to put it towards the side and stick it there. And I put a ton of foam tape because if I didn't do that, it would warp too much. And as you can see, I have some watercolor on the back of my card from not cleaning my surface enough. If you don't want anything like that, make sure you clean your surface well. So that was card number 2 for the 3 cards 1 stamp series. I look forward to bringing you the next video on Friday, and I hope you'll stick around for that. Thanks for watching till the end of the video. I have 2 video links here that you can click. One goes back to the day 1 card this week for February 2015 featuring that same stamp set, and the other one features a watercolor technique similar to this one shown here. You can also subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much for watching.